I want money spent on the front line, not on bureaucracy.
How many civil servants are you going to get rid of?
Well, what we've done is not a civil servant target, but an admin target. So that also targets consultancy spend, for example.
How many people are going to lose their jobs?
Well, it will be up for every department to set out those plans. But I would rather have people working on the front line in our schools and our hospitals and our police, rather than in back office jobs. So this isn't just about...
No, but you have to be straight with people. How many civil servants are going to lose their jobs in broad...
Look at their universal credit. You know, they have had to write off already £90 million worth of expending.
I'm not on the rights and the wrongs. I'm trying to work out what you voted for at the moment. We'll come on to some of these issues.
Well, some of the things...
Andrew Neil wasted no time in calling out Rachel Reeves during her appearance on Trevor Phillips's show. She boldly boasted about the economy growing by 0.1%, as if that was some huge achievement. But Neil wasn't having any of it. He pointed out that such a tiny growth number doesn't really reflect the bigger economic picture.
Actually going to go further than the government. So, for example, cutting benefits for young people who don't sign up for training. The government haven't introduced that. For example, saying that the richest pensioners shouldn't get winter fuel allowance. That's something that the government haven't signed up to.
Politicians love to make grand claims, but the data tells a very different story. Take Rachel Reeves, for example, and it's not just her. Andrew Neil's called out other labor figures like Angela Rayner for the same issue. They talk a big game, but fail to back it up with any real understanding of the economy. What's even worse, Reeves claims she wants to fix things, yet when asked about her actions, there's nothing to show for it. Her words, empty promises, not real solutions.
I'm not asking you for, 532 or 5,027, but broadly speaking, is it 5,000? Is it 10,000? Is it 15,000?
We've said 10 to 15%, 15% by the end of the Parliament, reduction in admin budgets. In admin budgets. So that includes consultancy, it includes travel budgets, it includes communications budgets. So it doesn't all have to be about people. But when we make those savings...
It's going to be about people.
And when
you can't say this is going to be painful.
Rachel Reeves made a bold claim in her interview, saying the economy was up by 0.1%. At first glance, that might sound good, but Andrew Neil quickly exposed how hollow that statement really is. A 0.1% growth? Hardly worth celebrating, especially when the bigger picture is grim. The UK economy is still grappling with soaring inflation, stagnant wages, and rising household debt. That tiny growth? It barely scratches the surface of the real struggles people face every day.
The growth numbers have come in higher than many expected, but I'm still not satisfied with the level of growth that our economy is achieving, and that's why I am determined to go further and faster in delivering the economic growth and the improvements in living standards that our country deserves.
You say the growth figures are higher than expected, but your government promised Britain it would be the fastest growing country in the G7. 6 months in, and we're barely just growing.
What's even more frustrating for the public is how politicians continue to make these small claims without offering any real solutions. We've heard it over and over, claims about economic growth, but no follow through. The media and the public are tired of hearing empty promises that don't match reality. The UK needs meaningful change, not just vague numbers that sound good in a soundbite.
A sustained increase in living standards. I don't know about you, but everyone I know and I see is skint. They're living month to month, struggling to keep their head above water, and are feeling the squeeze more than ever before. Well, then she says this about the national living wage.
Next month, at the beginning of April, people on the national living wage will see a 6.7% increase in their wages, £1,400 more a year. That's only possible because of the stability that we have returned to the economy.
Oh dear. So where does the Chancellor think this rise in wages will go? What will it pay for? Because the cost of living is up, the cost of energy is up, despite Labour's pledge to reduce bills by £300 a year.
While Rachel Reeves might celebrate a 0.1% rise, the reality for everyday people couldn't be more different. They're seeing through the hollow claims. During the interview, Andrew Neil didn't hold back. He challenged Reeves on her lack of real action. When she claimed she wanted to improve the economy, Neil was quick to point out the glaring contradiction. If she's truly committed to change, why hasn't she introduced concrete policies or made real strides? She talked a big game about improving living standards and boosting growth, but when when pressed for specifics, there was nothing to back it up. The truth, no real policies from Labour that would make a tangible difference for people on the ground.
Today's figures are a bit of a failure, aren't they? Especially when you consider GDP per head has gone down.
It's not possible to turn around more than a decades of poor economic performance in just a few months. But we are doing what is necessary to bring stability back to the economy, reforming the economy, the planning system, regulation and pensions, to encourage investment in our economy, which is the lifeblood of a successful economy.
Neil's questioning exposed the emptiness of Rachel Reeves' statements. It's clear she's great at talking about economic challenges, but when it comes to taking real action, she's all talk and no substance. She claims she's working to fix the economy, but where's the proof? Throughout the interview, Reeves highlighted the issues everyday people are facing, but when pressed on what she and Labour are doing about it, she had no clear answers. This inconsistency is glaring. She criticizes the economy, but offers no concrete solutions or actionable policies. Instead of focusing on real change, Reeves seemed more interested in pointing out problems while avoiding any responsibility for creating a way forward. This exposes a deeper issue within Labour. A lot of criticism, but no real plan to fix things. It's easy to call out what's going wrong, but true leadership comes from offering alternatives and practical solutions.
This is from David Thomas. Why don't we hear any politician, Jezza, simply say that no immigrant, legal or illegal, should be able to access any benefits or welfare when our own people are struggling? That would surely stop the boats, reduce all immigration and ultimately reduce the cost to the British taxpayer. Why are we obsessed with helping other people when our own people are suffering? Graham Stewart.
Well, it's a very good question. Of course, we should put our own people first and people who've paid in. That's what I hear from my constituents when I have a street surgery in the town of Heddon on Saturday. Exactly what people say week in, week out. You know, look after our own first. Do right by the rest of the world. We're not a mean country, but somehow there's a sense, as I think you've already alluded to, Jeremy, that we've tipped it over the other way.
Reeves' approach reveals a fundamental flaw in Labour's economic strategy. They continue to focus on pointing fingers at the government, but when asked about their own plans, they fall silent. The public is left wondering if they don't have a solution. What is the Labour Party actually offering? Rachel Reeves' interview is a clear reflection of a much larger problem within the Labour Party, its complete lack of direction on economic policy. While she spent the interview criticizing the government for the state of the economy, she failed to offer any real alternatives or solutions. This pattern of pointing out problems without presenting viable plans has become a hallmark of Labour's approach NHS
England, and we will continue to use that to make sure there hasn't been a zero-based review of government spending since 2007.
I was asking about departmental budgets.
Yes, so we've asked every department to rank their spending from the most important to the least important.
So you haven't said, give us a picture of a 5% cut or 11% cut. You simply, the zero-based budgeting is a whole different exercise.
Well, we've asked them to rank every line of their expenditure from the most important, so you can see what the top 1%, the top 2%, and indeed the least important 1%, 5% and 20% of spending.
The real challenge for Labour. They've spent so much energy attacking the government, they've failed to show the public what they do differently. People are growing frustrated with the endless criticism and lack of real substance. In contrast, Andrew Neil cuts through the spin. He doesn't shy away from holding Labour's feet to the fire, exposing their failure to deliver anything beyond empty rhetoric. Neil didn't just target Rachel Reeves. He called out top Labour figures like Angela Rayner for their lack of understanding and action on economic issues. This isn't just one person's failure. It's a bigger problem within Labour. When the party's leadership can't grasp the scale of the economic challenges, it raises serious concerns about their ability to lead effectively.
But what's really important, Andrew...
No, excuse me, I'm asking a question. What's the cut in the capital gains tax?
They've cut the capital gains tax. They did that. They did that as part of the coalition government.
No, they raised the capital gains tax in the coalition government.
Well, what I'm saying, Andrew, and
what you're saying is wrong. They raised the capital gains tax to 28%.
What I'm saying.
The public is growing increasingly concerned about Labour's ability to lead the country out of its economic struggles. With leaders who offer no clear plans and seem to lack a real understanding of the issues, it's hard to believe they have the answers. The constant focus on political infighting and finger-pointing instead of delivering concrete solutions only deepens that skepticism. If Labour can't get their leadership on track, how can they be trusted with the country's future? Rachel Reeves' performance in the interview exposed a major flaw in her leadership as Shadow Chancellor. Lots of talk, but no action. She spoke confidently about improving the economy, but her words lack substance. When pressed about the specific steps she's taken or plans she has, there were no answers, just empty promises.
And then we will ask departments, well, with a budget, would you rather spend more on your priorities, or would you rather continue the budgets as they are today? Because I think it is really important that we evaluate everything that we do, because in the end, this is the money of ordinary working people and ordinary businesses, and it hasn't been evaluated since 2007.
The rhetoric is all about change, but the public is tired of hearing the same empty promises without real follow-through. The big question now is whether Labour will ever move beyond words and deliver tangible change. Without concrete actions or clear policies, it's hard to see how they can win voters' trust. For many, Rachel Reeves' leadership only reinforces the idea that Labour is more about political posturing than real progress. The UK is facing severe economic challenges, rising inflation, stagnant wages, and soaring living costs. But instead of tackling these head-on, Reeves continues offering vague promises without addressing the root causes. Andrew Neil's questioning laid bare Labour's failure to confront the deeper structural problems holding the economy back. Neil was relentless in pointing out that Labour's focus on criticizing the government doesn't fix the real problems the UK faces. He exposed the huge gap between their lofty promises and the painful economic realities millions are living through.
Being free.
No, but what I am saying is it will deliver better public services, because I would rather we had people employed by the NHS working in our hospitals rather than in a government department. So this is about doing things differently, putting money where people see it most. During COVID,
Charles, this is what people say about politicians. I ask you a question that says, broadly speaking, how many roles are going to get lost? I cannot believe that you're telling your colleagues we need to take 10% out without any idea how many of those are going to be actual jobs. I just cannot believe that that's what you're doing.
I'm confident that we can reduce civil service numbers by 10.
While Labour continues to spin hopeful narratives, Neil's sharp questions revealed the disconnect between there to Rick and what's happening in the real world. Until Labour acknowledges and addresses these deeper issues, their approach will continue to fall short, leaving the public wondering if they're really capable of turning things around.
Council tax is up, and like many of you at home, I got my new council tax bill this week. It's up by the maximum 5%, despite Sir Keir Starmer's pledge to freeze it. My bins are only collected once a fortnight. And if you live in Bradford, Labour just gave the council there permission to hike it by 10%.
Andrew Neil's sharp questioning exposed the flaws in Rachel Reeves' leadership and Labour's lack of action on key economic issues. Despite bold promises, the party has failed to offer tangible solutions until Labour faces the reality of the UK's economic struggles. Their words will remain empty. If you think the public deserves more than empty rhetoric, share this video and let's keep the conversation going. If you enjoyed, leave a like and subscribe to our channel. You can watch more videos from us here at